I opened my daughter's wedding album last week, and I couldn't look past the third page. Not because the photos were bad. They were perfect. White roses, golden light through the chapel windows, her smile radiant as she held his hand. But that hand wasn't supposed to be his, and the woman in the white dress wasn't supposed to be her. I caused this. I know that now. I destroyed 2 lives because I wanted one of them to have everything I never did. And the worst part? For months, I convinced myself I'd done the right thing. The smell of jasmine still makes me nauseous. It was everywhere that day, in her bouquet, woven through the pews, crushed under my heels as I walked down that aisle pretending everything was normal. But nothing was normal. I had just committed the cruelest act a mother could, and I smiled through every second of it. I keep that album in a drawer now. Sometimes I take it out late at night when the house is quiet. I run my fingers over the embossed cover, and I remember standing in that church, watching my daughter marry a man who thought she was someone else. I was the architect of that deception. I was the one who convinced her it was right. And for a long time, I refused to see what that made me. If you want more stories like this, please subscribe. The channel is still growing, and your support means everything. I had 2 daughters, Lola and Anna, born 3 minutes apart on a Tuesday morning in March, but you'd never know they were twins by looking at their lives. Lola was fire, ambitious, sharp-tongued, always reaching for more. Anna was water, soft, giving, the kind of girl who'd take off her coat in winter to wrap around a stranger. I loved them both, but if I'm honest, I understood Lola better. I saw myself in her hunger. When they were born, I held them both in the hospital room and made a promise. My girls would never struggle the way I had. They'd never wear secondhand clothes, or watch their mother cry over bills spread across a kitchen table. They'd never feel small. Lola came out crying, fists clenched, ready to fight the world. Anna came out quiet, eyes wide open, just watching. The nurse said she'd never seen a calmer baby. She said Anna looked like she was already trying to understand everything. I remember those first years so clearly. Lola learned to walk first, stumbling forward with determination, falling and getting up again without tears. Anna waited 2 weeks longer, watching her sister, studying her movements. When she finally walked, she didn't fall once. That was always their dynamic. Lola charged ahead. Anna observed and followed. Growing up, they were inseparable. Lola would climb trees and Anna would wait at the bottom with bandages. When Lola got in trouble at school for fighting a boy who'd pulled another girl's hair, Anna took half the punishment without being asked. She told the principal she'd encouraged it. She hadn't, but she split the detention anyway. They shared everything: clothes, secrets, dreams. On their 13th birthday, they made a pact in their bedroom, cutting their palms with a kitchen knife and pressing them together. They promised to always protect each other. I walked in right after and nearly fainted at the blood, but they just laughed, wrapped their hands in tissue and hugged. Except one thing changed. When they were 16, Lola told me she was going to marry Rich. Not for love, for security, for power. She said it with such certainty, standing in our tiny kitchen while I washed dishes, that I believed her. She had a plan. She'd researched which families had money, which sons were eligible, what circles to move in. Anna never said what she wanted. She just smiled and helped Lola practice her makeup, her walk, her laugh, the kind that turns heads. She'd sit on the bathroom counter, handing Lola lipsticks and eyeliners, offering suggestions. She never seemed jealous, just supportive. I encouraged it. I bought Lola the dresses, paid for the networking events, pushed her toward the right circles. I told myself I was helping her build a future, but really, I was building my own dream through her. The dream of never being powerless again. The dream of walking into a room and belonging there. I'd spent my whole life on the outside, and I wanted my daughter on the inside. Anna worked part-time at a bookstore. She came home smelling like paper and coffee. She'd curl up on the couch with novels while Lola went to galas. I never asked Anna what she wanted from life. I assumed she was content. I assumed her dreams were smaller. That was my first mistake. When Lola met Fabio Boccanegra at a charity gala, I knew she'd done it. He was the wealthiest man in the country, handsome, polished, untouchable, heir to a business empire that spanned 3 continents. And somehow, he wanted her. They met at the champagne table. She told me later that she'd spilled her drink on purpose, just so he'd notice her. It worked. He offered his handkerchief. She took it and never gave it back. Within 6 months, they were engaged. The ring was obscene, a diamond so large it looked fake. Lola showed it off at every opportunity. I watched Anna's face when Lola first showed us. We were having dinner, just the three of us. Lola burst through the door, hand extended, squealing. Anna stood up from the table. She smiled. She hugged her sister. She said all the right things, but her eyes went somewhere else, somewhere distant and sad. I should have asked her about it. I didn't. I had no idea what was coming. The wedding was 3 weeks away when Anna collapsed. It was a Sunday. We'd just finished lunch. Anna stood to clear the plates, and her knees buckled. She hit the floor hard. I heard the sound of her head striking the tile, and my heart stopped. We rushed her to the hospital, Lola driving too fast, running red lights, her hands shaking on the wheel. I sat in the back seat with Anna's head in my lap, watching her face. She was conscious but pale, her lips almost gray. The news hit like a freight train. Kidney failure. Genetic. Sudden. Fatal without a transplant. The doctor was young, and he looked nervous delivering the diagnosis. He kept adjusting his glasses. He said Anna had months at most. The waiting list was years long. I watched Lola pace the hospital hallway that night, her heels clicking against the linoleum. She was on the phone with the wedding planner, moving things around, rescheduling the dress fitting. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to grab the phone from her hand and throw it, but I didn't, because part of me understood. She'd worked so hard for this, and the wedding was already paid for. $50,000 we'd scraped together from savings, from loans, from everything we had. Anna lay in that bed, pale and thin, tubes in her arms, and whispered, "Don't cancel anything for me, please." It was Lola who got tested first. Not a match. I got tested. Not a match. We tried cousins, friends, everyone we could think of. Nothing. Each negative result felt like another door closing. Then Anna's doctor suggested testing Fabio, just in case. Long shot, he said. 1 in 20,000 odds, but worth trying. Fabio agreed immediately. He came to the hospital that afternoon, rolled up his sleeve, didn't hesitate. I thought maybe I'd been wrong about him. Maybe he did love Lola. Maybe he was kind underneath all that wealth. He was a match. Perfect match. The doctor called it a miracle, but Fabio didn't donate. He said his lawyers advised against it. Liability, health risks, future complications. He had board meetings to attend, international travel scheduled. His family had concerns. He sent flowers instead, expensive ones, white lilies that smelled like funerals. They arrived in a crystal vase with a card that said, "Wishing you strength." Lola didn't question it. She was busy with the wedding. She had a final dress fitting, a cake tasting, a bachelorette party planned in Miami. She visited Anna twice that week, both times for less than an hour. Anna never blamed him. She just stared at those flowers and said, "He has so much to lose." I understand. But I saw the way her hands shook when she said it. I saw the tears she blinked back. It was Lola who finally donated. After I begged, after I cried, after I got down on my knees in her bedroom and grabbed her hands and pleaded, after I promised I'd pay for the best recovery care, that it wouldn't interfere with the wedding timeline, that she'd heal in time for the ceremony. She agreed, but I could see it in her face. She was doing it because she had to, not because she wanted to. The surgery was successful. Anna survived. The color came back to her face slowly, over days. She smiled again. Lola recovered fast, determined not to let a scar ruin her wedding dress. She complained about the pain constantly. She made me bring her special pillows, specific foods, magazines. She hired a personal nurse even though she didn't need one. Anna asked about her every day. She sent Lola cards, little notes. Lola never opened most of them. I told myself we were lucky. I told myself Fabio would make up for it. I told myself love wasn't about sacrifice. It was about partnership, about building something bigger. I repeated these things like prayers, like if I said them enough, they'd become true. But late at night, I'd remember Anna in that hospital bed, asking for water in a voice like paper, and Lola on the phone arguing about flower arrangements. I'd remember the white lilies, the card, the way Fabio had visited Anna exactly once after deciding not to donate. A 10-minute visit where he stood by the door and said encouraging things that meant nothing. The wedding day arrived. I woke up early, made coffee, checked on both girls. Lola was already awake, getting her makeup done, laughing with her bridesmaids. There were 7 of them, all dressed in lavender. Champagne bottles littered the suite. Music played. It looked like a scene from a movie. Anna was in the next room, helping zip someone's dress, even though she still moved slowly, carefully, one hand always near her side where the scar was. She'd been out of surgery for only 8 weeks. The doctor said she should still be resting, but Anna never complained. She just smiled and helped and made sure everyone else was happy. I brought her tea. She thanked me. Her hands were cold. Then my phone rang. It was Fabio's assistant. Her voice was shaking. There'd been an accident. Fabio was in the hospital. Car crash. He was blind, paralyzed from the waist down, financially ruined. Something about investments tied to his health. Insurance complications. Frozen assets. The business was collapsing. Everything was gone. I felt the room tilt. I had to sit down on the edge of a chair. My coffee spilled. I didn't notice until it burned my hand. I went to Lola's suite and told her. I watched the color drain from her face. Not from worry, from rage. "This can't be happening," she said. "Not today. Not to me." Her bridesmaids went quiet. Someone turned off the music. I tried to calm her. "He's alive. That's what matters. We can postpone." She looked at me like I'd slapped her. "He's broke, Mom. Broken. What's the point? The point is, you love him." She laughed. It was a bitter sound, harsh in the pretty room. I loved what he could give me. I loved the life, the houses, the security. Not him. One of her bridesmaids gasped. Lola told her to get out, told all of them to get out. They left quickly, quietly, taking their champagne glasses. The wedding was in 2 hours. Guests were arriving. I could hear cars pulling up outside, voices in the courtyard. Fabio was being brought from the hospital in a wheelchair, insisting the ceremony go forward. His assistant said he wanted to marry her anyway, even like this, even with nothing. Lola locked herself in the bathroom. I heard her crying, but it wasn't the cry of a heartbroken bride. It was frustration, anger, the sound of a dream dying. She threw something. I heard glass shatter. When I knocked, she didn't answer. I waited outside that door for 20 minutes. I could hear her breathing, could hear her pacing. When she came out, her face was cold, calm. The tears were gone. Her makeup was fixed. "I have an idea," she said. She told me the plan. Fabio couldn't see. He'd never know. Anna looked enough like her. Same height, same build, same voice if she tried. Anna owed her. Anna had her kidney now. Anna had always loved Fabio anyway. I'd seen it in the way she looked at him during family dinners, the way she laughed too hard at his jokes, the way she found excuses to sit near him. "She can marry him," Lola said. "She can take care of him, and I can walk away. Everyone wins." I should have said no. I should have stopped it right there. But I thought about Anna, alone, still recovering, with nothing ahead of her. No boyfriend, no prospects, working at that bookstore for minimum wage. And I thought about Lola, my ambitious girl, trapped in a life of caregiving and poverty, trapped in a wheelchair, trapped with a man who couldn't even see her. "It might be kind," I heard myself say. "In a way, she gets love, he gets care, you get freedom." Lola's smile was sharp. "Exactly." We went to Anna together. She was sitting by the window in her bridesmaid dress, watching guests arrive, her hands folded in her lap. The lavender fabric made her look young, vulnerable. Lola explained it. She made it sound noble, like Anna would be saving Fabio from humiliation, saving the family from scandal, giving him the love he deserved. She said Anna was the only one who could do this, the only one kind enough, strong enough. Anna looked at me. "Mom?" I nodded. "It's your choice, but he needs someone, and Lola needs to be free, and maybe this is what was meant to happen." Anna's eyes filled with tears. But she said yes. She said yes because she'd spent her whole life protecting her sister. Because she thought this was just another sacrifice, another way to help. I convinced myself it was mercy. But I know now. I know what it really was. The ceremony was beautiful. Anna wore Lola's dress. It fit perfectly. They were the same size. I helped her with the zipper. My hands were shaking. She didn't say a word while I fastened the buttons at the back. just stared at herself in the mirror like she didn't recognize the woman looking back. She walked down the aisle on my arm, trembling. I could feel her shaking through the fabric of her dress. I whispered, "You're doing the right thing. You're saving him." She didn't respond. Fabio sat in his wheelchair at the altar, his eyes covered with dark glasses, his hands folded. His suit was perfect. He'd insisted on that. Everything had to be exactly as planned. When Anna reached him, he smiled. A small, sad smile. He took her hand. "Lola," he said softly, "I'm so sorry. I know this isn't what you wanted." Anna's voice cracked when she said, "I'm here. That's what matters." They exchanged vows. I watched from the front row, my heart pounding so hard I thought people could hear it. The officiant's voice seemed to come from far away. No one knew. No one suspected. Anna's voice was steady. She'd practiced in the back room, matching Lola's tone, her inflections. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Anna leaned down and kissed him gently. And Fabio whispered something I couldn't hear, but I saw Anna's face change, saw her stiffen, saw her pull back slightly. The reception was tense. Anna barely spoke. She sat beside Fabio at the head table, cutting his food, describing the room to him. Fabio seemed aware, too aware. He asked her questions, about memories, inside jokes from their courtship, about the first time they met, about what she'd said to him in the garden that night in June. She fumbled through answers, made things up, changed the subject. I told myself it would settle. They'd grow into it. Love would come. Lola left that night. No goodbye. Just a text at midnight. "I'm free now, don't call me." I tried anyway. She'd blocked my number. Months passed. Anna moved into Fabio's home. A smaller place now after the financial collapse. A modest house in the suburbs instead of the mansion. No staff, no driver. Just the two of them. She cared for him, cooked for him, read to him, helped him bathe, dress, move through the house. I visited often, bringing groceries, offering help. Every time I saw something I hadn't expected, she was happy. He was happy. They laughed together. She described the world to him in detail, the way light came through the kitchen window in the morning, the color of the roses in the garden, the shape of clouds. He listened like every word was precious. She learned to guide his wheelchair through the garden without asking if he wanted to go. She just knew. He learned the sound of her footsteps, could tell her mood by the rhythm. One evening, I arrived to find them on the couch, her head on his shoulder, his hand in her hair. A movie played on the television, volume up so he could follow the story. She was laughing at something a character said. "Mom," Anna said when she noticed me, "I need to tell you something." My chest tightened. I knew before she said it. "I'm pregnant." Fabio turned his head toward my voice, smiling. "We're having a baby." I should have felt joy, but all I felt was dread. Because the lie was growing. Because a child would be born into this deception. Because I'd created something that couldn't be undone. But I smiled. I hugged them both. I said congratulations. And I went home and cried for 2 hours. Because 2 weeks later, Fabio stood up. He walked into the living room where Anna was folding laundry, and he took off his glasses. He could see. Anna dropped the towel. Her face went white. "Fabio?" He looked at her. Really looked at her. His eyes moved over her face, her hair, her body, and his face went from confusion to shock to something darker. "You're not Lola." He'd been testing her. The accident, the blindness, the bankruptcy. It was all a lie, a performance. He'd hired actors, falsified documents, staged everything. He'd suspected Lola didn't love him, and he wanted proof. He'd planned to reveal the truth after the wedding, to see if she'd stay when he had nothing. But the woman who stayed wasn't Lola. "I knew something was wrong," he said, his voice shaking. He sat down heavily on the couch, his hands gripping his knees. "Your hands were softer. You laughed differently. You never complained. You asked about my day. You cried at movies we watched. Lola never cried. You smelled like vanilla. Lola wore jasmine. I thought grief had changed you. I thought losing everything had revealed your hidden kindness. But you're not her." Anna collapsed into a chair. She told him everything. The switch, the kidney, Lola's abandonment, my encouragement, the lies we'd built together. She spoke for 20 minutes. Fabio didn't interrupt. He just stared at her, his face unreadable. When she finished, silence filled the room. The clock ticked. Outside, a dog barked. Then he said, "I need time." He left the house, grabbed his keys, walked out the door. Anna called after him, but he didn't turn back. She called me, sobbing. I rushed over, found her on the floor of the living room, arms wrapped around her knees, rocking back and forth. "I ruined everything," she cried. "I lied to him. I'm pregnant with his child, and he doesn't even know who I am. He doesn't know my real voice, my real name, my real anything." I held her, and for the first time, I felt the full weight of what I'd done. I'd traded my daughter's integrity for my other daughter's freedom. I'd treated love like a transaction. I'd turned Anna into a substitute, a stand-in, a lie. I'd convinced her that sacrifice meant erasing herself. "It's my fault," I whispered. "Not yours. I pushed this. I made you think it was right, but the damage was done." Fabio returned 3 days later. He looked exhausted. He'd been staying at a hotel, he said, thinking, barely sleeping. He didn't speak to me. He went straight to Anna. I listened from the hallway. "I've been angry," he said, "but I've also been thinking. You stayed. When you thought I was blind, broken, poor, you stayed. You didn't have to, but you did. You took care of me. You laughed with me. You read to me for hours. You described sunsets like they were paintings. You learned how I like my coffee. You loved me. I don't care what your name is. I care who you are, and who you are is the woman I want." Anna was crying. "I'm so sorry. I should have told you from the beginning." "Maybe," Fabio said. "But would I have believed you? Would I have given you a chance if you'd told me you weren't Lola? Or would I have sent you away?" Silence. "I would have sent you away," he admitted. "And I would have missed everything." They decided to start over. Honestly this time. He wanted to meet her as Anna, not as Lola's shadow. They went on dates. He asked about her childhood, her favorite books, her dreams. She told him about the bookstore, about the novels she loved, about wanting to write someday. I watched them fall in love again, or maybe for the first time. Real love, built on truth. But Lola found out. I don't know how. Maybe she'd been keeping tabs. Maybe someone told her. But she came back 3 months later, furious. She showed up at my house first. I opened the door, and there she was. Thinner, harder. Her eyes were cold. "You let her steal my life," she said. "You walked away from it," I replied. "Because you told me to. Because you said it was okay." She was right. I had. I'd encouraged her abandonment. I'd made it seem noble. She pushed past me into the house. "Where is he? Where's Anna?" I told her to leave them alone, that they were happy, that she'd made her choice. She laughed. "Happy? With my husband? With my money? He was never broke, was he?" It was a test, and she passed by pretending to be me. She'd done her research. She knew everything. She tried to convince Fabio the marriage was invalid, that Anna had stolen her identity, that legally he was married to Lola. She showed up at their house with a lawyer. Fabio refused to listen. He stood at the door and told her to leave. She screamed at him, called Anna terrible names, called me worse. When legal threats didn't work, she did something unforgivable. She hired men to kidnap Anna. It happened fast. Anna was walking to a prenatal appointment, 7 months pregnant, moving slowly. A van pulled up. 2 men jumped out. She fought, but they were stronger. They grabbed her arms, pulled her into the van. She screamed. A woman across the street called the police, but the van was gone before they arrived. They took her to a warehouse outside the city, empty, cold. They left her there with water and a blanket. Nothing else. Lola visited her there. I know because Anna told me later. Told me everything through tears. Lola stood over her, looked at her pregnant belly, and said, "You always took everything from me. My kidney, my husband, my future. Even when we were kids, everyone loved you more. You were the good one, the kind one. I was the ambitious one, the selfish one. But I worked harder. I sacrificed more, and you still got everything. I never wanted to take anything from you," Anna whispered. "But you did. So now I'm taking it back." Her plan was simple. Keep Anna hidden until after the baby was born, take the child, and return to Fabio pretending to be Anna, pretending to be Lola. She'd studied Anna's mannerisms for weeks. She'd cut her hair the same way, changed her perfume. She'd practiced Anna's softer voice, her gentler laugh. "He won't know the difference," Lola said. "And you'll disappear. Maybe I'll let you go after. Maybe I won't. Anna was kept there for 4 days. 4 days in the cold, on a concrete floor, terrified for her baby. She felt contractions, false labor. She begged them to take her to a hospital. They ignored her, but Fabio knew. He'd installed security cameras after Lola's first threats. He'd tracked her car. He'd seen the kidnapping on street cameras. He called the police immediately, gave them everything. They found Anna in time, dehydrated, terrified, but alive. The baby was safe. They rushed her to the hospital anyway. Monitored her for 2 days. She was okay. They were both okay. Lola was arrested at my house. She'd been staying in my guest room, waiting. When the police came, she didn't run. She just sat at the kitchen table and said, "I deserved better than this." She was charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, conspiracy. The trial was fast. She was convicted, sentenced to 8 years. And I stood in that hospital room, looking at Anna's exhausted face, holding her hand, and I finally said what I should have said months ago, what I should have said from the very beginning. I'm sorry. I did this. I pushed Lola to marry for money. I made her think that's what mattered. I convinced you to take her place. I treated you both like pieces on a board instead of my daughters. I was the villain in this story, and I didn't see it until now. I saw what I wanted to see. I built a life around the wrong values, and I taught them to you, and you both paid for my mistakes. Anna reached for my hand. She was weak, but her grip was firm. "I forgive you, Mom," she said, "but you have to forgive yourself, and you have to visit Lola. She needs you too, maybe more than I do." I didn't want to. The thought of facing her made me sick, but I went. Lola sat in that cell, her face hard, her eyes empty. The orange jumpsuit made her look young, too young. I tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't look at me. She stared at the wall. "I gave you everything," she said finally, "and it still wasn't enough. I gave you the wrong things," I said. "I taught you to want power instead of love. I taught you that your worth was in what you could get, not who you could be. I'm sorry. I failed you." She didn't respond, but I keep visiting, every week, trying to rebuild something real. Some weeks she talks, most weeks she doesn't, but I sit there anyway. I tell her about Sophia, about Anna, about the weather, about nothing. Last month she asked to see a photo of the baby. I showed her. She looked at it for a long time, didn't smile, but she looked. "She has my nose," Lola said. "She has your nose," I agreed. "It's not much, but it's something." Anna had a baby girl. She named her Sophia. Fabio cried when he held her. He'd been in the delivery room, holding Anna's hand, coaching her breathing. When Sophia was placed in his arms, he looked down at her tiny face and wept. "Thank you," he said to Anna, "for everything, for staying, for loving me, for her." They got married again. A real wedding this time. Small, just close friends and family. Anna wore a simple cream dress. No veil, no jasmine. She carried wildflowers. I walked her down the aisle again. This time I whispered different words. "I'm proud of you. I'm in their lives, but differently now. I don't give advice unless asked. I don't push. I don't suggest. I listen. I babysit Sophia once a week. I watch her learn to smile, to laugh, to reach for things. She has Anna's eyes, Lola's nose, Fabio's chin. Anna's scar from the kidney surgery is still visible when she wears certain shirts. She doesn't hide it. She says it reminds her that love sometimes costs something, and that's okay, that scars are proof of survival. Fabio jokes that he married the wrong twin on purpose, because the universe knew better than he did. Anna laughs every time, but I see her face when she thinks no one's looking. There's still sadness there, still guilt over what happened to Lola. I'm learning that being a mother doesn't mean controlling the outcome. It means witnessing it, supporting it, even when it doesn't look like what you imagined, even when your children make choices you don't understand, even when you failed them and have to live with that. I still visit Lola every week. She's softer now, quieter. Therapy is helping, she says. She's taking classes, learning accounting. She asks about Sophia sometimes. I show her photos. She doesn't smile, but she looks at them for a long time. She asks questions. What does she like? Does she sleep through the night? Is she healthy? Last visit, she said, "Tell Anna I'm sorry. Not now, but someday, when I mean it." "When will that be?" I asked. "When I stop being angry at her for being good. It's honest. It's something. Maybe one day she'll come home. Maybe she'll meet her niece. Maybe Sophia will visit her in prison, and Lola will hold her and remember what love is supposed to feel like. Maybe she'll forgive me. Maybe she'll forgive herself. Or maybe she won't. But I'll keep trying. Because that's what love actually is. Not the fairy tale I wanted. Not the mansion or the perfect wedding. Or the security I thought mattered. Just the messy, hard, painful work of staying. Of showing up. Of admitting when you're wrong. Of changing. I look at Sophia, and I promise her silently, I won't make the same mistakes with you. I won't teach you that money matters more than kindness. That success means stepping on others. That love is something you take instead of something you give. I'll teach you about your aunts. Both of them. The good and the bad in both. The complicated truth that people can love you and hurt you at the same time. That family is messy. That forgiveness is work. And when you ask me why your Aunt Lola isn't here, I'll tell you the truth. All of it. Even the parts that make me look terrible. Especially those parts. Because that's what you deserve. Honesty. Not the version of events where I'm the hero. The real version where I'm the one who broke everything and is trying to fix it. If this story meant something to you, I hope you'll share it. Not because it's easy to hear, but because it's real. Because we all make mistakes with the people we love. We all justify things we shouldn't. We all convince ourselves that our intentions were good, even when our actions were harmful. But there's always a chance to choose differently. There's always a chance to admit the truth, to say you're sorry, to show up even when it's uncomfortable. There's always a chance to stop being the villain and start being something else. Something better. Subscribe if you'd like more stories like this. Stories about people who get it wrong and try to get it right. Stories about second chances and the kind of love that doesn't give up, even when it should, even when it would be easier. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me tell you the worst thing I've ever done, and not turning away.